Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. So my name is Kathleen, and if you didn't know, I just finished writing my first novella. I documented the whole thing here on YouTube, and I just wanted to talk about 5 things that I learned from writing my first novella. The first one is basically that I actually can do this. So the novella was basically the biggest text, creative writing text that I'd ever written. I've previously written quite a lot of academia things, but this was the first just creative that I've written in this amount. I had written short stories and things like that, but this was 15,000 words and it was the biggest thing I've ever written, and I actually could do it. And I didn't give up in the middle of it. I could finish the entire thing without giving up. And I actually surprised myself a bit that I could do this entire thing. Which connects to the second part, which is how I managed to do it. So I realized I like gradually increasing my draft, basically. So what I did was I wrote 50 words in all of the chapters, and then I went back and wrote 100 words in all of the chapters. And instead of going back and forth between chapters, I continued going from chapter 1 until the final chapter. And if I wanted to add something in either later chapter or previous chapters, I would add a note to that chapter instead of actually going into it and writing it. And that gave me somehow a momentum that I could go from the beginning until the end. I think it helped me that I did not find any plot holes or anything like that that I couldn't work myself out of, because I knew exactly what next chapter was going to be when I finished drafting everything in, I think I started with 10 or 20 words and then just worked myself up. And I did that throughout the entire writing process. Even in the last draft, I did start with chapter 1 and worked myself into every single chapter and gave every single chapter just a moment to tell me what I wanted to do. Which brings me again to number 3. These are all connected. And that was that even though I had drafted the entire chapters, I started with I think 10 chapters, and I think I ended up with 20 something chapters, because I allowed myself to either add a chapter in or split a chapter into 2 chapters where I felt was missing. So while I did have this structure that I followed quite closely, also gave it that I could maneuver it. I could add a chapter, I could do all these things. And that also helped me, that the structure was there, but I still could have the flexibility of, as I said, adding things, splitting a chapter. I started when I think it wasn't even one of the first drafts, or I actually only had I think 2 drafts and then I added. But I think in the second draft, where I already had quite a lot of words, I decided to add 2 new chapters inside the beginning of the story, which were fitting quite well. And instead of being like, no, this is my structure, I'm going to keep it, I had my structure, but I could add to it or take away, which I don't think I did this time. Number 4 is that I am not a person that can write thousands of words every single day. And every word counted. I have noticed this also with my academia writing, is that it's hard for me to actually read the word count. I'm always, when they give you yes, write something 3,000 to 5,000 words, I'm always 2,999 words. And I felt that as well in the novella. It was supposed to be 15,000 until 30,000 words, and I think I was just 15,100 or something like that. It was very... I don't have that many extra words, and every word counts, basically. I also noticed that while I can write something most days, I don't think I have the capacity to actually sit down and write 1,000 words every single day or something like that. I need a breathing space for me. I also realized it was hard for me to write before bedtime, because then I had a hard time actually going to sleep. My 5th thing, and I think this might be a little controversial, but I don't like Scrivener. I'm sorry. I tried it and I used the entire trial period, and at the end of the trial period, it just wasn't giving me enough, basically. There were a couple of issues that I had with Scrivener. The word count wasn't right. I didn't like the fiddly aspect of adding a chapter or taking out chapter or moving things. Then the entire statistics element, which I enjoyed mostly about this program was the statistic analysis of everything. But that didn't really work for me because if I moved things around, the word count was wrong, and I did not like it. I can do similar things basically just with Excel and a word processor, and so I don't need this extra program in my life. I also felt like the setting up the Novella was just much more hassle than if I would just set it up in a word processor or anything like that. So it needed something extra for me to actually buy the full program and use it, and it didn't have that extra for me. So those are the 5 things that I learned from writing my first novella, and I'm excited to take those into writing my second novella, which will be my next project that I will talk about. So if you like this video, please like it, and if you like to hear what I have to say more about these things, you can subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!